Hello student, welcome to my channel Soil and Land Management. Today this video is related to the very important topic, that is phytoremediation. What is phytoremediation, why it is effective compared to the other methods, and what is the need for today. So we will going to learn in this video. So phytoremediation, before coming to the phytoremediation, I want to talk about why we have to go for the phytoremediation. What is the present statistics in the world and India? If you will see, as per the World Bank statistic, the world is nearly generating 2.24 billion tons of solid waste per year, and it will be expected to increase up to 3.8 billion tons by 2050. It means that the urban pollution is increasing day by day, and 33% of the global waste which is not managed properly, and due to that the soil and land pollution is happening, and nearly 40% of the waste which is disposed in the open land, so that the contamination of soil is happening due to the heavy metals and toxic compounds, and also the release of greenhouse gases which is caused the climate change effect. Other than that, some industrial waste, nearly 7 to 10 billion tons, which is untreated and is transporting into the rivers and good water. And if you see the data on the liquid waste, as per the United Nations environmental programs, it states that 80% of the global wastewater is released into the environment without any treatments, and which is causing the severe impact on the water reservoirs or the good waters. The World Health Organization reported that more than 2 billion people which is use the water, but it is in a not in a good form. It is a contaminated form, and around 300 to 400 billion tons of the industrial waste which is discharges into the good water bodies every year, and nearly 70% of the global freshwater pollution is occur through the fertilizer and pesticides runoff. If you see in India, the solid waste status, as per the Central Pollution Control Board, India generate nearly 1,60,000 to 1,70,000 tons per day of municipal solid waste. Only 70 to 75% is collected, and less than 30% scientifically treated. About nearly 40% of the waste is dumped into the landfills or open area, which cause soil pollution. If you see the liquid waste data in India, India generate nearly 72,000 million liters per day sewage, and treatment capacity is nearly only 31,000 million liters per day. It means 60% liquid or sewage is remain untreated. If you see the industrial area, which is generating nearly 13,500 million liters per day of wastewater, which included hazardous influents, and major rivers like Ganga, which receives more than 3 billion liters per day of untreated sewage, and the rivers is getting polluted day by day. If you see the heavy metal contamination, as per the FAO, estimated that 20 to 25% of irrigated soil which are polluted, and because of that the salinization is occurring. In a polluted region, if you see the highly contamination of lead, cadmium, arsenic, they have crossed their limit in the soil more than 10 times. So, with day by day, due to the unmanagement of the solid and liquid, the water and air pollution is increasing. And what is the role of the phytoremediation in this era? There are many methods available, like physical methods, chemical method also there, and biological methods. And in that physical and chemical method, if you see, different cation exchange regimes will be there. Physical method like heating methods will be there, but that method is not that much effective, and is require a lot of money. So Phytoremediation is one of the method which can treat the soil and water pollution, and it is one of the eco-friendly approach. It is not like the physical and chemical approach which cause the again pollution. So this is a very cost effective approach also, and we will use to against the soil and water pollution, and is also the one of the point to be considered under the carbon sequestration. So phytoremediation, what is meant the phytoremediation? Phytoremediation, the word is came from the Greek word phyto means plants, and the Latin word that is remedium, meaning is the restoring the balance. It is the process of correcting the problem or to put back the condition in proper uh, situation. So phytoremediation is a bioremediation process that uses various types of the plants to remove, transfer, or stabilize or destroy the contaminated in the soil, groundwater. A simple way, if you want to discuss what is the phytoremediation, it is the use of the green plant to remove the pollutant from the environment, or we can say from the water and the soil. So what are the different mechanism of the phytoremediation? First one is the phyto extraction. In that plant will extract the heavy metals or toxics from the soil and water. Second one is the phytostabilization. Third one is the phytodegradation. Fourth one is the rhizodegradation. Fifth one is the phytofiltration, and last, that is most important, is phytovolatilization. So we will see one by one mechanism and how it will work and effective under different conditions, and how it is cost effective and environment friendly approach. So coming to the first mechanism of phytoremediation, that is the phytosequestration. So phytosequestration is also called the phytostabilization. So in this mechanism, so is the absorption of the heavy metals or the toxic compounds by the roots, or absorption to the surface of the roots, and the production of the biochemical by the plants which is related to soil and groundwater. So with the help of that biochemicals, that heavy metals and the toxic compounds which become soluble, and so the plants will absorb, so it will store it, sequestrated, precipitated, and immobilize into the soil or into the plant, and this concentration will get reduced due to the absorption of the these heavy metals and soil by the plant roots. So it is stored in its different parts of the plants. So heavy metals means what? Heavy metals is the metals which have the specific gravity more than 5 gram per cc. So that metals we are calling the heavy metals. Examples like mercury, arsenic, lead, then chromium, cadmium. So these are the heavy metals which are toxic to the plants, human beings, even also microbes. If we'll talk about human beings, it will cause the liver and kidney failure problems. So that's why it should not go to the food grain or the food chains. We have to manage in at a ground level in a soil. So if we'll use the phytoremediation plants, so that plants will absorb from the soil through the roots, and it will sequestrate in a or precipitate in the different plant parts of the plant. So that is called the phytosequestration. The next one is the rhizodegradation. Rhizodegradation means it takes place in a soil or the groundwater immediately around the plant roots. So under this process, water is released by the plant roots, which stimulate the different microbes in a rhizospheric area. So that executes which increase the population, or we can say stimulate the bacteria, fungi, actinomides, so that increase the population or its activity, it will start degrading the soil and water contaminants. So it will change the one form of the contaminant to another forms, so that the plant will not uptake into the different parts of the plants, or we can say it will become insoluble and inactive in the soil. The next one is the that is phytohydraulics. So phytohydraulics is the one of the mechanisms under the phyto uh, remediation, in that we will use the hydrophytic plants. So in this process we will use the deep rooted plants like a tree to sequestrate or degrade the groundwater contaminant which comes in the contact with the roots. So best example is popper tree, such as they used to contain some exudates like methyl tetra ethyl ether, which will release and degrade some toxics and heavy metals, and reduce the toxicity of different organic compounds. Next mechanism is the phytoextraction. Phytoextraction is also known as phytoaccumulation. In that, plant will uptake or accumulate the toxicants in their roots and stores in the stems, leaves, tissue rather than degrading. The contaminants which are not necessarily degraded, but it is removed from the soil and waters. So after harvesting, which one we have to burn it in some location, so that it should not go into the on agriculture land. So this method is also called the phytomining. Phytomining means, so what are the toxic compounds will be there in the soil, like heavy metals and organic compounds like herbicide, pesticide, and fungicides. So their uptake will should do with the help of some plants. So that's called the phytomining. Then next one is the phytovolatilization. Phytolysis is a process in which plants will uptake the volatile compounds through the roots and transfer the same compounds or its metabolites through the leaves into the atmospheres. So in this mechanism, plants will uptake only those compound which will be having a volatilization in nature. So plants first will uptake in the roots and transport into the leaves. In leaves, that compounds will convert into another forms into different metabolites and will get converted into gaseous form, and it will release into the atmosphere. So only through this mechanism volatile compounds only possible. Then phytodegradation. Phytodegradation is the process under which contaminant is the plant will uptake into the different parts, which will get metabolized or destroyed or biotransport into different forms. That is based on the types of plants which are using. And after that, that transformation will occur inside the plants in a different parts of the plants like tissue, stem, or leaves. Then such types of plants, then we will have to burn again. So selection of the plant species for the phytoremediation. So what kind of the characteristics we can use, so that the efficiency of phytoremediation process we can increase. So first one is the adaptability to the local climates. So we have to select those crops which will survive in our area, like semi-arid or arid regions. Then that crop should have the high photosynthetic rate, means in that high growth rate should be there. So they have to grow fastly, and that plant should have high oxygen transport capability, and also it should be tolerant to different uh, pollutant concentration, means it should be sustainable or it should be grow in the high pollutant condition, and also it should have high pollutant uptake capacity. Then it will grow in the different climatic conditions, like salinity conditions, sodicity condition, alkalitic acidic conditions, then poor soil conditions, and then low moisture condition, drought condition, flood conditions. So different conditions they have to grow. Then it should show the resistance to the pests and diseases. So if the pest and disease will come, the plant should not die. So the phytoremediation process so it will not complete. So we should focus and it should resistant to the pest and diseases, or we should not have to apply the different types of pesticides or fungicides to control this one. And it should be easy to handle. It should not require different types of management practices. And that plant should be mostly should depends on the soil moisture condition, should not require the irrigations. If the plants require the irrigation, so we cannot give the irrigation to the main crops, so the problems, farmer will face the problems of the low ability of the water. So if those plants will grow in such condition, low alkalinity conditions, drought resistance, then high concentration of the heavy metal in the soil, and it should uptake highest amount, and it should have the fast growth, and it should survive in the low oxygen, even a low oxygen content. And this crops only we have to select for this mechanism for the phytoremediation. Otherwise, the phytoremediation process will not be effective, and to adopt this process also is not be successful. So, what are the different benefits of this process? What are the advantage, disadvantage, and limitation we will see here. So the advantage of phytoremediation are phytoremediations are both in situ and ex situ methods. So it is a low cost treatment technology compared to the physical chemical treatment process. So it will be occur in the field or outside field also we can do, and the cost of treatment is very low. Only we want a seed for as for to do the phytoremediation. Then the plant which one we will use for the phytoremediation, which can be easily monitored and we can easily manage. Then the water, the pollutant which will accumulated in the plant, which will harvested and which is used, which is harvested the biomass can be recovered for the reuse through the phytomining techniques. Okay, so whatever the heavy metals will be there in the soil, we will collect, we can use for other purposes also. That one we can do through the phyto mining techniques. Then phyto remediation is eco-friendly. It should not have the toxic effects on the environment, and will have the least harmful methods. We can use the plants and organisms in the nature, which also help to preserve the environment and ecological sustainability. Then another advantage is the phyto extraction can clean up the soil without causing the negative effect on soil quality and productivity. So it will have the positive impact on the soil health and its productivity. Uh, Coming to the some disadvantage of this methods, that one we'll see here. One disadvantage of this method is the water the pollutant plant will uptake. That pollutant which will stored in fruits or other edible parts of the crops and vegetable, and that heavy metals or pollutant will transport to food chain to the human beings and its body and different parts of human beings, and there is a higher chances for kidney failures and the liver failures, because most of the pollutants which one acts on the kidney, livers and nervous systems of human beings. Then the growing of phytoremedial plants, because sometimes it will not grow in bad conditions, so the success of this techniques will be the less. Then the low biomass production in a phytoremediator, so the severe planting and harvesting required for decontamination. Generally, Pacific's selective unique accumulation of one metallic element in the hyper elemental is not possible. Then elemental pollution caused by the chelate in the phytoremediation. Then it is slow and season effective treatment method, so we cannot do in all times, we have to do in only specific times, and it's very slow process, it take more time. Then handling and deposing the contaminated plant, through the phytoremediation is a major footprint of this green technology, because handling and where to dispose to the contaminated plant, because it should not come into the major field. So that is also major important disadvantage. If you will dispose also the somewhere, and it should not come through the water to the main area. Then mobilization of radionucleoside through the translocation into the plant, that is also the important point. Then not applicable for the all types of the compounds, because the compound should be solubilized for the uptake of the heavy metals, and it should be solubilized to the plants. Then dissolved contaminated groundwater are not suitable for this method. So we have to go for this method. These are the disadvantage. There are the certain limitation of these methods we cannot use for 100%. So limitation of further remediation is it is limited to the surface area and depth which is occupied by the roots. So which is not necessary to uptake the heavy metals or the compound from the 100 centimeters or the more depth. It depends on the root surface area and the depth. Then the slow growth and a low biomass require a long duration. The plasma system are remediation, so it's not possible completely to prevent the leaching of contaminant into the groundwaters without complete removal of the contaminated grounds. So from the contaminated waters, it 100% removal is not possible, and because of slow growth and low biomass, so it take a longer time. That is also limitation. Maybe it will take 3 to 4 months, sometime up to the 6 months. So leaching, then the survival plant also is important, because it will uptake the toxic compounds. So when it will accumulate into the different parts of the plant, so in that condition that plant should survive. So otherwise some plants will get died or they show the different symptoms. So the uptake of the compound will increase with the time, so the plant efficiency will reduce. So such limitations will reduce the effects of the phytoremediation. The another advantage or limitation is the product produced during the degradation may be accumulated in the animal through via food material obtained by the plants. Then by accumulation of contaminants, especially metals into the plants, passes through the food grains from primary level of consumer to the top level of consumer, and that affect the plant material requires the safe disposal. Then the atmospheric layer stored the degraded material for the short period, and the rainwater it again stored in the groundwater. The concern are shown in the remediation of the toxic contaminant through the phytoremediation process. Then the further research provided evidence. So during the how much is accumulated in the soil. Then clearance of the collecting plants are be difficult, and the amount of heavy metal also will be high. The effectiveness mainly limited due to the surface and shallow soil and stream water. In case of the groundwater treatment, pumping method is needed to collect the water, which is also at the cost. The effectiveness of the phytoremediation is depends on season due to plant development is mainly depends on season, and largely required for the cultivation of plant or tree using the phytoremediation. And if the contaminant concentration is very high, in that case plant will die. Then the another small topic in the phytoremediation, that is the bioremediation. By remediation, we will use the microbes to remove or detoxify the pollutant from soil and water. And the aim of bioremediation is to reduce the pollutant from size with the help of microbes, especially bacteria, because population will be more. So this bioremediation we can do on field and off the field. That's called in situ and ex situ phytoremediation. So in situ bioremediation is a process of removing the contaminated material in a soil from their own location, and soil could not be excavated. But in ex situ condition, we have to remove the soil sample to degrade it. So these are the some examples of microbes. These are some microbes which is used for bioremediations. One is aspergillus. These are aspergillus species will be there. Penicillin species, fusariums, then acromonium, rhizospus, sclerotium, and alternaria, then fasciolomys. So these are the then cladosporium, myrospecticium, trichoderma, and these are the some species which we use for the bioremediation. So first technique we'll see the in situ bioremediation in that bioventing techniques. In this techniques, in this method for degrading the toxic compounds, so it method for degrading the any aerobically degraded substance by inoculation the nutrient like the nitrogen or phosphorus along with oxygen in the process behind the bioventing techniques. So in this technique, simple word, if you want to tell that we have to supply the nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus along with the oxygen to increase the activity of the microbe, so the degradation rate will increase. So this process depends most on the texture because the flow of the supply of the oxygen and the nutrients depends on the texture. Then another technique is the biosparing technique, and next that was the biosphering techniques. So before technique and this technique is same, only different is that we have to inject the nutrients and oxygen below the groundwater to increase the concentration, to increase the population of microbes, so that the microbial degradation will increase. This is one of the easy method and is cost effective method. So in this method, we will add microbial inoculum to break down the waste materials. So, so we will add the inoculum in the contaminated location. So this process suitable for the chlorine contaminated soil and water. In this method, contaminated convert the chlorine to non-toxic material by the microbial activity. So in this technique, bacteria and fungi are the most important microorganism which is used in contaminated soil to remove the heavy metals. So also we can use the yeast and algae. So in bioremediation by microbes will be successful when a single grain is single strain culture replaced by the clusters of the bacterial strains. The in this technique, the microbes will precipitate the heavy metals by absorption or sequestration into the intercellular space, and also form the protein by using the heavy metals as which acts as the binding materials, and also by forming the protein it will become harmless. Okay, so this mechanism will be using the microbial bioremediation. Then what are the factors which is responsible for the bioremediations, or how we have to improve the bioremediations and act mechanisms. So first is the nutrient supplementations. So for the growth and development of the microbes, the most important factors that is required, that is the nutrients. So nutrient is the prime factor for the growth of microbes. So the supplements of nutrients which is very critical for the proper bioremediation process, and the removal of the contaminant in the soil is depends on the activities. So we have to increase the organic carbon content in the soil, and the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium content. So the activity of microbes will get accelerated and increase the bioremediation process. Then another one is the temperature. If you will increase the temperature, the activity of the microbes will increase, so speeding of the degradation is also increased. So temperature plays the important role in the contaminated by remediation. So contamination level increase, there is so that one can be the contaminant level can reduce by increasing the temperature due to its increased solubility of the pollutants as well as the heavy metals. So microbial action will increase the temperature. If the temperature will increase by the 10 degrees centigrade, then the activity increase by 2 or 3 times. Then the microbial diversity. The microbial diversity, so we have to not depends on only one stance, we have to use the multiple stance, so the degradation process will increase. So the culturing of this heavy metal resistance stance is very important. So if we'll have that stance, so uptake and the degradation process will increase. The pH is very important factor for the degradation process and bacterial activity also. If the pH is one of the important factor in contaminant, if the pH is negative, it denoted the acidic soil. So the metabolism or the degradation of the pollinator depends on the microbial activity, and microbial activity depends on the pH. 6.5 to 7.5 is the optimum pH. So in that pH, all the microbes will be available. So these are the factors which is helpful, which we if we consider, so we can increase the biodegradation process. There are some advantage and limitation of bioremediation techniques. So if you see the bioventing, this technique more suitable for the uh, water table of more depth from the ground surface and effective having the high temperature. And remediation is due to the high soil texture variation and composition difference. The removal of rate of this technique is change. Then a biosparing, it is easy to install, and duration for treatment is very less. This is the advantage of this method, and the technique is suitable for specific area like the petroleum contaminated sites. The limitation is this technique should not be applicable to aquifer, air sparing, and need to the uniform and biosparing. And bioaugmentation advantages, the microbes will be do all the work and remove all the contaminated in the sites. The labor requirement is less, but a limitation is the suitable environment required for the microbes. These are the some plants and micro used for the phytoremediation and bioremediation techniques, like the plant species Pistia, that is water cabbage, alpine, then yellow turf, hems, then Johnson grass, sunflower, then common yarrow, then Indian mustard, alpine. So these are the common plant we'll use. Some microbes like Bacillus there, Penicillium there, Alternaria, Bacillus, Actinobacteria, Enterobacteria. These microbes will use for the bioremediations. So this is a very important topic and very effective, eco-friendly, and cost-effective method for removing the heavy metals, toxic compound from the soil as well as in the water. So how much we are uh, generating the wastewater or solid waste, so better to use this techniques so to reduce the impact of the heavy metals and toxic compound on agriculture crops. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like my video.